it's Annie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about makeup brushes. So I'm going to talk about brushes that I think that would be beneficial, brushes that I think that would be helpful, what you need. I know can be confusing when you are applying, like, what do I get? Some of you guys are just getting into makeup. Some of you are like, I want to get some new brushes. What do I get? So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the face brushes, the eye brushes that I have, and brushes I think you should have, and some that are nice but you don't have to get right away. And I also have some exciting news as far as REPHR, because those are the brushes that I'm going to talk about today. The reason I'm talking about it is because those are the brushes that I'm using right now. Okay, I've just been using natural hair brushes. I just have. Okay, I still have my BK brushes. I still love those. Still recommend them, but these are the ones that I'm using. First thing I think I want to do is there's some new brushes from REPHR that I'm going to talk about. I need to clean my brushes too, so please no judgment on my brushes, okay? I'm going to talk about brushes that I definitely would recommend. And then I'm going to talk about some new brushes that REPHR came out with, okay? I just want to make sure I have all the brushes because I just did a tutorial. My table's a little messy. Let's talk about the face first. Now, as far as foundation, I don't use foundation brushes. The only foundation brushes I was using, that one time I was using the BK Beauty brush, but I was just using it under my eyes, and now I just use my finger to apply my concealer. So I use a beauty blender. I don't use a foundation brush, so not even going to talk about that. It's just what I prefer. I just feel like with a sponge, you're going to get a prettier look. I just feel like with a brush, you're going to use a brush and then you have to go over it with the sponge just to push it in. It makes no sense to me. Just freaking use a beauty blender. I understand why makeup artists don't use a beauty blender, because I would never use the same sponge on somebody. I mean, if I use a sponge on somebody, that would be their sponge forever. Okay? But I'm just not a fan of the makeup brush. I just don't like the way it looks. I really like using a sponge. So just getting that out of the way. So now let's go according to, and again, I need to clean my brushes, but I'm going to show you them anyways, okay? So let's talk about powders. So I like to use a nice fluffy brush for my powders. It's good to have a nice fluffy brush for your powders. This one is from REPHR. This is the number 25 brush. Love this brush. Love it. So this is what I use to put on you can use this for a pressed powder or loose powder. So if I'm using a pressed Charlotte Tilbury powder, or if I'm using a loose Chanel powder, I will use this, or whatever powder. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about what I have. Then I would use this. It's nice and fluffy and will get your powder on really nice. Love this brush. If you're using a cream bronzer or a powder bronzer, this is really, really nice. Love it. Love it. Can fit right in here and you can apply it. Brushes are so important. They really are. Having the brushes that you need and using the right brushes will make your makeup look amazing. It's just a fact, okay? Now for blush, I really like this one. And you'll see this is the one I use the most. And this is my number 5 brush. I freaking love this brush. Love it. And you can see I need to clean it. Okay. But one thing I want to tell you with natural hair brushes is that you're not going to get everything out of a natural hair brush. I will still have a little bit of color in here after I wash it because it does stain. But I love this. Fits perfectly when I go to apply my blush. I love this one. Another one that's nice, but I like this one better, is this one. See how it's kind of angled? So if you like one that's more angled, you can use something like this, but I've been just really loving this. If you are using a highlighter, there's a couple different brushes that you can use. There's one that I've been using the most lately, and it's this one. It's my fan brush. I've been using this one to apply the Laura Mercier highlighter. That's what I'm wearing today. Freaking love that. And this is what I like to use with it. I don't put stuff on the tip of my nose or any of that nonsense, okay? But I do use this to apply my highlighter, and I love it. It's also nice too if I have a little bit of fallout or whatever, I make sure this is cleaned off though, because you don't want to put a highlighter everywhere, you know what I'm saying, girl? But I will use this to kind of clean off if I get a little sloppy. So really like that. If you want to use a little bit of setting powder under your eyes, this is a really nice one. This one is the number 18. So you can take setting powder and set it under there and wipe it off. I don't bake. Okay? Aging eyes should not bake. I don't think anybody should be baking, but especially mature eyes, because you will suck the life out of your under eyes if you're putting that much powder on, okay? You don't want to do that. But I will use something like this, and they have this size too, which I don't use this one all the time, to be honest with you, the number 19, but this is the number 18, and I like using that for that. So that's it for the face brushes. So let's talk about the eyes. I love my eye brushes. Let's see, I want to make sure I don't share any brushes that are new because I want to save that for last. Okay. So there's several brushes that I use to do my eyes. You don't have to have all these, and there's one in here that's actually not a REPHR brush that I need to share with you guys too, because it makes a big difference. Okay. So this brush, this is the number 12. And so what I like about this is I can get that color, I can pack that color on here. I will even sweep this over. I just did an eye tutorial on this look. So might be out before this or after, I'm not sure. But I will pack that color in here, I bring it over, and then I will go in and I will use a fluffy brush like the number 16. And I will go in it and I will blend it. So these fluffy brushes, there's a couple here, and there's a new one that I'm going to show you in a minute. But these two are both different. See how this one's a little bit bigger and that one's a little bit smaller? It really is like preference, what you like to use. I personally like to have a couple of fluffy brushes because when you're doing a shadow, it's nice to have one that's clean, even though I know both mine kind of look dirty, but it's nice to have a couple different ones. But you want to use these. These are not, the only time I use this to apply a shadow is if I'm doing a shadow all over, like a base shadow, or if I do a look like this and I'm like, oh, I just want to add just a little bit more, like a really light color to help buff it out, I will use a brush like this, okay? But I don't use a brush like this to put this color. I've actually been using this one here. So I apply this color and then I work it and then I blend it. That's what I've been doing. So you can use it. I just feel like with this you'll have a little bit more control with that. But you can use a fluffy brush, but you have to be careful so you don't get too much color. So if you were going to get a fluffy brush to apply the shadow there, then I would use a smaller one. So that's why I said it's good to have a couple eye brushes. When it comes to your lid, I like to use one like this. This one is my number 2 brush from REPHR, but you see how it's shaped like that? I like to put my lid color on with this. I love it. Great for lid. You don't want to use a brush like this. See how that's too fluffy when you're going down to just get that lid color, and you only want to get it in this area. You want to have a brush like that. So again, that's the number 2. I'm going to put all these below. I'm going to have everything below. I'm going to say what I use it for, so it'll be make it easier for you. Okay. These two. Now there's another one too that I like. These two. So this is the number 3 and this one's the number 23, and they're both different. See how they're small? What I like about these are nice detail brushes. So this is one that you can use and put your shadow underneath your eye. You can even use something like that to use in the inner corner if you want to use like a little highlighter. You could even use a little highlighter there. These are just really nice detail brushes. So let me show you some of the newer brushes too, and I'm going to talk about some news about it. Oh, one more brush I want to talk about before that though. So this is from Chanel. This is a brow brush. Okay, so one side's a spoolie and the other side we have this angled brush. This is great because it's great for travel. As you saw, I could take the caps off, the tops off, which I love, okay? And I just love this for doing my brows. This is what I use. I don't like the brush that comes with it. I'm going to show you. See how big that is? It's just too big. It's okay to, like, sometimes I will use this in the beginning, but then when I'm blending it, I like to have a brush like this. So this, I freaking love this. And then the one side isn't really stiff, which I like. I don't like that it's stiff. So I can go in and I can just go ahead and blend, blend, blend my brows. So love that. So let me talk about some of the new ones. This one is the number 29 brush. I personally have never seen a brush like this. I'm not saying there's not one on the market like that, but I have never seen a brush like this. This brush is freaking awesome. There are so many things you can do with this brush. Again, just like that one that I just showed you, just like these two, you can use something like this to apply your liner because look at how flat and tiny it is. Can you see that? So you can get right in under your lash line and apply your shadow. You can also, you know that tip that I've shared with you guys where I just take a shadow and I work it into my lash line instead of using a eyeliner? This works so good. This works so good because it gets right in there and it's perfect. You could also use this to create little hairs if you wanted to in your brows. You could also use this to clean. If you had anything you had to clean out or carve out by your eyes, around your lips, if you had to clean up a little bit of lipstick, like this is just such a nice brush to do. It's like so many things you can use this brush for. And let me tell you something about my brushes. I don't always use brushes the way they were intended. You know, there's some brushes that might not really be a blush brush, might be a powder brush, but I just use it for a blush. Do you know what I'm saying? But this one is so great because like there's so many things you can use this for. Freaking love this. I was so excited when I saw that because it's unlike anything I personally have ever seen. The other one is this one. So this is the number 26, okay? And it's a nice companion to these. Love it. Again, you can use this to blend. You could use it there. I mean, so you have to decide which one would work the best for you. So I'm saying you don't have to get all these. But I like that they have so many different sizes. You can decide what you think would work best for you. Okay? But that's what you do use this for. This would be a detail brush. This is the number 28. So it's very similar to the number 2. You can use either one for your lid. I actually like this one a little bit better because it's a little bit smaller and you can get into there a little bit better. If you have this, you don't need to get this, but it's really nice. It really is nice to get into your lid area. You could, it's so thin, you could even use this to blend out your under eyes. You could again use it to add a, you know, to carve out or add a highlighter. Do you see where I'm going? See what I said before? That I use brushes in different ways. So that's why I said you have to decide if you're needing a brush. I just want you to know you can use like a brush like this different ways. You don't have to just use it for your lid. There's different things you can use with it. Just always make sure it's clean, obviously, so you don't mess up your eye look or whatever you're doing. But you could even use something like this to apply your eye primer. You could use something like this to apply your concealer if you are concealing because maybe you have some acne scars on your face. This would be a really nice brush for that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you can use these brushes for powders and for creams and liquids. So just so you know, okay? And this one is the number 27. Now I do have several fluffy brushes, okay? But this is where I think it's good to have several. I would recommend having at least 3 fluffy brushes. I really do. This one, and they're all a little bit different. What I like about this one, I just feel like it just works really, really, I feel like out of all of them, I like this one the best for blending out my shadow. So those are the new brushes, and let me share a little information about this too because I sent an email and I want to give you the heads up on this, okay? Tomorrow on March 20th, REPHR is going to feature a new eye bundle, which is going to be the 4 new eye brushes. So they're the 4 brushes that I just showed you. So it's going to be this number 26, this number 29, this number 28, and this number 27. So it's going to be these 4 brushes, okay? So those brushes, and you know what I love about this too? The reason that they created this is because of your feedback. That's why I love this company. They care about you. They want to create products that you love to use, that you're excited to use. They want you to be honest about it, and that's why I support this brand so much too, is because of that. There's not a lot of companies that do that, that want to know what you really think about something. They do. Okay, so this was created because they said that they had over more than 11,000 forms of feedback. And so that's why they created it. And so they want everybody to be able to get their hands on these brushes. New brush set on the 20th, tomorrow, is going to be available. It's normally $88. It's going to be on sale for $52, which is remarkable. And then the iCore Trio, which is going to be the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3. So those 3 brushes are going to be on sale for $39. The regular $72 for $39. And then the blush brush is going to be available for $23 and it's normally $39. So you're going to want to jump on that. They usually go pretty quickly. Really excited about that. Really excited to be able to share that with you guys. You guys know that I love these brushes. This is all I've been using on camera and off camera. This is what I use. Okay, so really, really excited. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you give this a thumbs up. Would really appreciate it if you would share it. You can follow me on all the socials, and I will catch you guys all in my next video. Bye. Either my pressed Charlotte Tilbury or my loose Chanel powder. I'm having a menopausal moment, so just forgive me.